You're watching highlights of the Ashtabula City Council meeting on August 3rd, 2026.
I only have one ordinance to request tonight. Like the ordinance to enter into a contract with AM Ford in Jefferson for the purchase of a Ford Maverick in the amount not to exceed $28,995. And that'll come out of Fund 412. We are still receiving bids for our liability insurance for the city. That expires at the end of this month, so at the August 17th meeting, we are hopeful that everything will be in place so that we can present an ordinance. And as soon as I get the information that's important for you guys to review, we will forward that along. Fireworks, again, were phenomenal. Really can't beat them, but a big thank you to the Lithbridge Community Association, all of the volunteers, city staff. I think just about every department of the city was involved in helping one way or the other with that festival and putting it on. Then, of course, to the community for coming out and supporting it. It was really a great weekend. Couldn't ask for better weather. Things went really well. And lastly, at the end of tonight's meeting, I'd like an executive session to discuss the purchase or sale of property. Getting real close to having all the sidewalks buttoned up. Today they were installing light poles, so hopefully we'll have the lights on pretty soon down here. There are a couple pieces that still need to come in for all of that, but the poles went up today along Main Avenue. Collins Boulevard is coming along really well. This would be along the Collins Boulevard project, so mostly in the area that goes behind Signature Health on the curve there, and then there's a small piece that goes between Main Avenue and Park Avenue where we used to be at Key Bank. That strip, there's some pieces that should be replaced as well. There's a concern on the backside of Collins Boulevard as it wraps around the bend that the way that the sidewalks are deteriorated when they match up with the new concrete or with the new curbing, it's not going to match up well.
When we talked in Public Works, the change order that they wanted was nearly $130,000 for the sidewalks. So that's why you were checking other options.
It's too high based on what the sidewalk work we have going on around the corner and what ODOT has seen in other areas as an aggregate average.
The lady that requested it lives on Columbus and 18th, and she wants a sign, if permissible.
That's what I mean. Where would the sign go? On East 18th?
Columbus, probably. That's where the cars are going fast.
Really, no kid should be playing on Columbus Avenue.
Well, I agree with you, but I mean, she's scared, and I guess it's a bus stop, and she's just scared. I don't blame her. The crew came and took a couple of trees down that were rotted out, which the guy's very happy for, but that's 1463 West 9th. He was just wondering about when they were going to take the stumps down.
Yeah, need to give us a little time to get there with the stumps. We do that ourselves, so they don't come out immediately after the trees, but they go on a list and our staff usually comes around and does those.
So on vacation, they had in the downtown area signage that said no bicycles, e-bikes, and scooters on the sidewalk. And they were oval signs. They were very tasteful, both entrances. And I think that could help because I'm not sure, even though we know it's the law, does everyone know it's the law? And I think that could help enforcement.
That's a good idea. We can look into it, but yes, 373.11, it's not just e-bikes, it's all bicycles, all skateboards, scooters that are not supposed to be riding on the sidewalks.
So when somebody is reporting cars that are parked in the yards, what procedure would you like them to follow?
Just need to call our office. We do
Call
it.
your office or call the
Call
police?
Planning Community Development. If we need to coordinate with the police department, we will. But daily we get those calls.
So.
They must be on an approved surface.
A what?
An approved surface. So a driveway, stone.
No, it wasn't.
That's what I mean. You can't just park on the front lawn. Right.
There's a request. It's about the Lunday family, that they would like a memorial for the last survivor of the Titanic that lived here. So I guess what is the process for that?
There were some conversations about this at the last, I think, park board meeting. One of the things that was discussed was getting a hold of the Marine Museum. That might be a good location on their property for some type of plaque or information about it. So that would not require anything from city council.
I
But
have two items for tonight, and the first item is an ordinance to make supplemental changes to appropriations in the 205 State County Municipal Roads dash Public Works Fund listed on Exhibit A for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Ashtabula, State of Ohio for the period of January 1st through December 31st, 2026. In the amount of $35,000. The breakdown is on the last page for this ordinance. And the second item is an ordinance enacting adoption of the City of Ashtabula Budgetary General Fund Reserve Policy. The policy itself is attached to this ordinance and followed by the analysis that I sent the council a couple of weeks ago.
The only thing was did you have the Ashtabula percentage listed? I'm trying to remember.
Yep.
Was that listed down there too? I think you had like 5, 6 cities. And were we down there? Because I'll have to go back and reread that.
So 2 months would be, just a moment. Spending requirements. 2 months would be $2.3 million, but it's an absolute minimum. So it's not recommended to go that low.
Right. Okay, gotcha. So would there be, after you do all those formulas, we're not even to the point for a rainy day fund discussion at this point?
At this point, we have, compared to other communities, we have 46% our reserves over the current 2026 expenses.
Okay,
Which could, of course, be better than that because we have communities shown in the analysis that have over 100%.
okay.
So we're almost at the 50% mark.
We are, there are communities that have almost 200% of their reserves compared to their expenses. We are like only 46%, which is a little better than City of Fairview Park and City of Defiance, based on the data presented in the analysis.
But our top goal is 50%? Am I understanding that correctly?
The way we put the parameters, it's between like 2 months, which is 16.67%, up to 50%.
Okay, thank you.
But it's up to the city council to establish, higher parameters if needs be. So that means that in a situation, in a scenario where an enterprise fund that is designed to be self-sustainable and self-sufficient revenue-wise,
Gotcha.
at any given point will require subsidies. We need to make sure that the fees increases took place before, so that we don't just blindly go and borrow or take money from the general fund without making attempts of raising fees in first place.
I gotcha, I
so
understand.
that just ensures that it's not a bailout for those enterprise funds.
We have an ordinance on that we're requesting tonight that you have in front of you that would give my victim advocate, Emily Busanich, credit for the time she served at juvenile court for Ashtabula County. So effective January 1st, 2027, in terms of accruing vacation, she would get credit for service starting October of 2024, because she came to us directly from the county.
I know that we put this into the non-union benefits package because it mirrors the language of the unions. I'm not sure why this individual is being singled out to not get that, but regardless if it's union person or non-union person, we recognize that service at another political subdivision meant something when they came over, and so that's why it was included in all employment. Why this particular one, I don't know, but if this is what the finance department needs to clarify, it's not creating a new policy, it's something that's there. So
She spent the past month applying for grants for between state and federal and all kinds of grants. So we're waiting to hear back about that.
School's going to be starting, and if there's families there, we want to get them there so that they're not disrupted like they were last year and end up who knows where and have trouble getting to school and their buses and all that kind of stuff.
Completely agree. Want
I
them
know
there,
you do.
want them there safely. The building inspectors went out and said, no.
Good, good.
And so we're hoping that we can all be clear now on what needs done to what apartment, and clear instructions are given by the city and clear responses by Harbor Ridge. We thought we had it in place before, but apparently we did not, so, but that's the goal. And if we can't get compliance, then we're really not going to have a lot of choice.
I noticed on the Route 20 apartments by Taco Bell that they've been working on them for quite a while. I see they got signs out now. Are they getting nearing rent, and then before those are rented, are those inspected?
they will get inspected before they're able to be rented. I believe they're going to try to bring 12 online sooner than, I think there's a total of 24 that are going to be in the building. So they're going to try to bring 12 online before they continue to work on the other 12. But we've wanted to get those online for quite a while. The work that's been done in there has been really nice. They're really doing the apartments nicely. So. And we need that housing back on.
I have one thing. We received, I think this is just like a regular notice from the Division of Liquor Control that all Class C and D liquor permits for retail establishments that sell alcoholic beverages will expire on October 1st, and they all have to apply for a renewal. So if there are any retail establishments that council has issues with, that they would like to object to those renewals, now is the time to do that. And that's all I have.
All right, we come to the time, 6:34, we come to our time for our committee reports, community development, economic development.
There'll be a meeting this Wednesday at 5:30 here, and the guest is Policy Matters Ohio. The topic is data centers, and we will have, hopefully, a moratorium for data centers coming out of that meeting.
That would be a recommendation, then you'll bring that to council.
Yes.
Finance and Personnel, our next meeting will be August 21st. Friday, August 21st at 8:30. Public Works and Utilities.
Right before that, we had a microburst earlier in the week causing significant geographic isolated damage. So staff was commended that all that was cleaned up. It was like the perfect storm. That happened, and then we had the festival and everything. So there was a lot going on there. And Mr. Manager, I was wondering, when we had that increase for the trees, was that number in there, that 35,000 for tree removal? Does that have to do with the microburst?
Mr. President, no, that shouldn't. Typically, the increase for that is the bids that we're getting in to actually have trees removed.
For the other ones? Okay.
So this is stuff that we do ourselves. Yes, we still have to pay to have it disposed of, but it wouldn't create an increase like that. So regardless if it's a homeowner's tree or a city tree, so whether it's on the tree lawn or on the other side of the sidewalk, if it falls into the road, we've got to get the road open.
Okay.
So some of the time we will take the trees away at that time. And then, of course, if it is a tree lawn tree, we have to remove everything.
Koski would begin the 2026 paving on Wednesday, so that was right after that meeting. So did they start on Dunbar and Dunsmore? Dunsmore?
They've started grinding.
They
Yep.
did? Okay. Now, and they're still to be completed by August 28th?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so going to be fast and furious. The cart delivery lead times approximately 4 weeks from the time of the order, and then label and instructions will be pre-attached upon delivery. Route adjustments will be implemented prior to cart distribution to minimize operational disruptions. So we also talked about the sanitation department. They had a demo of a split rear loader truck on July 31st. So did that still happen?
That actually did not happen, so
Okay.
we're not sure when they're going to reschedule that for.
Okay. So this would be where the vehicle's divided into two compartments, like a 60/40, allowing simultaneous collecting the refuge and the recyclable on the same route. So they're testing that out. They offer a 13-month lease program, which, looking at all options, the cost of leasing is $9,000 a month per truck. But we spend like $15,000 per truck annually on maintenance. So it's EPA responded to the initial mixing zone study. The response raised questions about the data regarding the Doppler readings. And now we have until the end of August to complete the second mixing zone study. So we have some things that are a little kind of different for the EPA, because it's not like every day you're relocating your outfall. So kind of a work in progress. Our lateral push camera got damaged when they went to inspect a private property. The head got lodged into the pipe. Roto-Rooter assisted to get out. So the repair on that was $6,000. And how do they determine, is it good quality? GPD inspectors are present throughout the entire paving process. Photographic and video documentation is taken of all curbs and aprons before and after grinding. Material tickets are collected to verify tonnage, and depth gauges are used on the paver. The standard calls for a 3-inch grind and a 3-inch replacement, because we had a question about whether interest earnings could supplement the paving budget, because we know so many roads need to be paved, and how much money it takes to do the roads. Everything has increased. We have not increased or asked for anything more for a paving levy, and we know that levies in general have not been going well on the positive side, voting for them. Clarified all interest income is consolidated within the general fund and is already factored into the city's budget, which is currently in deficit spending. City manager noted Lake Avenue will be addressed in the coming year, as Aqua is planning a water line replacement from West 24th to Route 20. Similar in scope to the recent West 19th project. Aqua is expected to contribute to repaving cost, but emphasize doing the road correctly. That would be full curb reconstruction, and the cost would be over $2 million. And our paving levy just brings in $800,000 for the year. So we have a dilemma there.
And it's concerning the house addresses on properties that have back alley driveways. What we're finding is when you drive down the front of the house that is always marked with an address, it doesn't always look like the back of the house, different color, different shape. And it's really hard for squad car, ambulance, fire truck to count the addresses down when you're driving around the back to get to them. I would imagine for anything, a cab, an Uber, pizza delivery guy. I mean, so we're going to require house address on the back of the houses to accompany the one on the front, and that ordinance is 2026-142, which is going to be on for a first reading today.
I believe when we were discussing this way back when, we actually had a date when they had to be on by. I don't see that in the new ordinance. We're working with the property owner and Public Works and Thomas Spence on all of that.
Planning Commission will meet in a couple of weeks, and I reported on them last month. Historic Preservation is meeting next Wednesday, and I haven't received their agenda yet.
I do believe these abatements are an excellent tool for redevelopment and major remodeling projects. Those investments improve existing properties and strengthen our neighborhoods. The difficulty I have with this particular request is that it is for a long-term rental property. Our city's rental rate is already approaching 50%, and I believe that is a level we should be cautious about increasing. And for those reasons, I will be voting no on that tonight.
I will be voting yes for the abatement, but I do think we should be able to read the applications. I mean, when I saw that one, I couldn't read any of those signatures, and I also am guilty of poor penmanship when it comes to writing, but I think maybe on the application, it should be print and sign, Mr. President?
Yes.
I do support the abatements, but I think that would be hard to determine unless you know what the actual tax is going to be ahead of time.
It's usually established after the house is finished.
That's what
Yes.
I.
But that, like on this.
But I mean, we've given out ranges before, and as I've mentioned before, the city, as far as what we collect in property tax, compared to the other political subdivisions that are part of property tax, ours is a very, very low number.
I seldom ever make a decision without it being based on something.
Okay.
For me.
Okay.
And I have questioned 100% for 7 years since starting council because I believe it should be a win-win situation where the city can collect some taxes to pay for our services, and it can also benefit the applicant. So I see that incentivizing whether it's reconstruction or home purchase, all of that is good. I've never believed we should simply rubber stamp every single abatement that comes through at 100% for 7 years. So yes, my reluctance is because it is just so open without many considerations for what the city might be losing and what we could also gain in addition to approving abatement for the applicants. So it's a complicated thing, but I certainly think we should be far more thoughtful when we're voting to approve them.
And I would just say that I think to accuse the counselors of not being thoughtful or doing things willy-nilly is not really fair.
So it's one thing for you to ask for our opinion, and then you go back and criticize the things that we say.
I'm not criticizing.
So if you're asking
Okay.
for our
Go ahead,
opinion
Mr.
or to
Guerrero. What
respond
did you
to the
want to
question,
say?
then we share our response.
And this has been a vacant lot there's never been anything there but high weeds, especially when that Harbor Yard was going strong. Believe me, that was not a desirable place to live. And in the win-win, someone's building a house there is a win for our community. And after the 7 years is over, it's a pretty nice house. I'm assuming that's going to be a $2,000-3,000 tax bill for whoever the owner is at the end of the 7 years. So this one specific time, I'm 100% in favor of the abatement.
As I've mentioned several times too, this being a long-term rental, the people occupying the house will have income tax. So it's income tax we've never collected on the property before. They'll be paying into the sewer, they'll be paying into the garbage.
But it's all clean, it looks cleaned up, it looks really nice and neat and cute. So yeah, somebody would be living there, shopping, maybe going out to dinner, spending money. So before it was just empty land. So I'm in agreement as well.
Yeah.
I wasn't on the email string, so
Okay.
I don't know what the
Yeah, you-
status was. But if a counselor wanted it added to an agenda, then a request has to be made to Stacy specifically, or the clerk of council, I'm sorry, to add something to an agenda. Otherwise, I mean, it comes from either the city manager, the finance director, myself, or a committee or a council member. If she's not specifically asked to put something on an agenda, then she has no way of knowing somebody wants it on the agenda for a first reading and then a second reading. So if you want it added to the August 17th agenda for a first reading, absolutely now would be the time to make that request.
This is nothing new. This has been in the formation for quite some time, and the draft has been brought to council before, and council has provided feedback, and it has gone back to multiple iterations. And this last iteration took into consideration council's recommendations, and the input was included. So I thought it was ready, but if there was more questions, then I'm happy to entertain those questions. I just need to know when. Not just me, and the ad hoc committee would want to know as well.
You mentioned that there was things mentioned that didn't, were changed, but I have to say things were mentioned, and they still seem to be appearing in this document.
So when we can go back and review the notes if we need to.
It's not uncommon for myself or for another person to try to draft the legislation, but it always does go to the solicitor's office, which 9 times out of 10 on mine, they tweak something because I got it wrong, and then they were the ones that approved it. But it's not uncommon for individuals to write the legislation to send it to the solicitor's office.
Are we delivering value where our residents notice it most? The two concerns I hear more than any other are the condition of properties and the condition of our roads. Residents want neighborhoods that are clean, well-maintained, and inviting. They want to see continued progress in neighborhood maintenance. They also want roads that are safe and in good repair, because they drive them every day. At the same time, I think it is our responsibility as a council to regularly evaluate our priorities and ensure they reflect the needs and concerns we hear from the people we represent. As we make decisions, establish priorities, and prepare future budgets, I believe we should continually ask ourselves whether we are focusing our time, energy, and resources on the issues that have the greatest impact on our community. Those everyday experiences shape their confidence in the direction of our city. I'm raising this because I believe it is healthy for us to periodically step back and ask whether our priorities align with the priorities of the people we serve. I'd be interested in hearing from my fellow council members. Are these the same concerns you're hearing from your residents? And if so, how should we shape our priorities going forward?
So I think you all know that the two things that we always talk about are property and roads. I would encourage you at any time to take a day and ride with our 2 inspectors and then tell me they're not doing their jobs. Yes, it's not always easy to get a person to clean up their property. Doesn't help also when we get judgments for penalties of $5 at the court, which just happened on Allen Avenue. It doesn't help when we try to address fireworks and an issue of $5 penalty is applied to the 19 people we cited for fireworks. It's actually kind of embarrassing and insulting to my staff. I wish we would get more help from the residents because, for everybody that posts the different things on Facebook about what the city doesn't do, if we were able to do that daily about what we encounter, it would be a different story. Because we can certainly step up and say X, Y, and Z aren't doing their job either.
There are several of those cases that have not been resolved because Judge DiGiacomo is back on the bench. And it's entirely possible I'm going to have to take some of those to trial because they don't like the idea of a $750 fine. I don't like the idea of you risking burning your neighbors' houses down. There are 2 building inspectors who work full-time inspecting every rental in this city. They're the 2 that give people notices if their grass isn't kept, if their house isn't kept, if there's junk vehicles on their property. 2 guys and 1 car. So they ride together all the time. They can't even ride separately because they only have 1 vehicle to share. Right. Before that, they didn't even have a car. But we can only move as fast as the court process will allow us to move. And part of that is based on the evidence that we can obtain. And again, that comes from 2 guys. So we all feel the frustration that buildings aren't safer, that properties aren't nicer. We wish there were ways we could work faster.
So I guess that's my question. As a council, can we make this a priority with budgeting so that we can do more?
Is that the budget?
I think what it comes down to, as you know, the last year or this year, we're going to deficit spend. So what are we not going to do to be able to bring more staff on?
I would just, recently, we only had 1 building inspector.
So we've had a housing inspector, and then we recently this year have hired a code enforcement officer. Right. So and they did have 2 cars until recently, and then they've been.
So I mean, we are working towards that. Paving
Now,
wise,
having-
we've had our paving levy, what, maybe 6, 7 years. So we're doing the best we can with that. And like you say, you supplement it by getting grants and
working with
extra
other
money,
utilities.
working with the
yeah,
utility.
This is something we've been talking about in the office and with the solicitor's office as well. As we pass this new zoning, which is going to be extremely important for how, the city develops, having a zoning officer, zoning inspector could be very important to us, not only for the zoning, but then we've talked about, is there other roles where they can assist with the road cuts and different things that the utilities do. So, that's another salary that we would like to explore. The finance director just put out a memo to the departments about submitting budgets by the end of August, I believe, right? So we're starting to put together the budgets now for next year, and as we look at the income, it's going to decide what on the expense side we can and cannot do.
Thank you.
I mean, you could, but when we talk about assessments, so the way that used to work when the city had an engineering department, there were several staff members. So during the winter times, they would be in Jefferson pulling deeds, making sure what those frontages were, figuring out the calculations so that they knew exactly what the assessment on each property would be based on the frontage of the road. Then you're going after bonds because it's not going to be one payment by the homeowner. It's going to be over a certain amount of years.
Right.
So now you're accruing debt, which now you have to add interest on top of that. So it's going to cost you more to do assessments for that. And if council would ever think of that, I think the first thing you would do would be repeal the paving levy.
What if our paving levy didn't pass?
Well, I would say, when you
God
talk
forbid.
about, we have been fortunate that our levies have been passing, so I think that says something as well. Obviously paving is the most visible thing you can do.
Right.
And we try to do the best at it.
If we think about the money that we have paid GDP over, 5 decade, could we not have our own engineering department?
No. So it's not easy to have, if you're going to have a building department, then you need to have electrical inspectors, plumbing inspectors, and those types of people do not do the specs for what we need to bid stuff out. Like all the work that's going on at the wastewater treatment plant, nobody has that broad of a education where they can hit all of those different specialties to be able to do bid specs.
I have a question. So if we were to charge with rentals, if we were to charge higher fees, could we afford another inspector?
We would have to do the calculation, but I think we charge right now $75 for a rental permit, which I think is in line with many of the other communities around us. It's a way to generate revenue.
I just think it's a puzzle that we can solve. We're a whole group here, that if we all work together, that we could come up with some solutions. I really do believe that.
Well, the solution is, as far as what I and the finance director will tell you, here's the amount of money you have.
Right.
What do we not want to do and what do we want to do? Because we are definitely at the point where it's going to be what don't you want to do to accomplish something else.
Ordinance number 2026-136, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into a community reinvestment area tax incentive agreement with River and Rail Development LLC for tax abatement at 100% for 7 years for new residential dwellings located at 725 East 15th Street, Ashtabula, Ohio 44004. Ordinance number 2026-139, an ordinance enacting adoption of the City of Ashtabula Budgetary General Fund Reserve Policy. Ordinance number 2026-140, an ordinance to make supplemental changes to appropriations in the 205 State, County, Municipal Roads, Public Works Fund listed on Exhibit A for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Ashtabula, State of Ohio, for the period January 1st through December 31st, 2026. Ordinance number 2026-134, an ordinance repealing in its entirety existing codified ordinance Chapter 761.99 entitled Sale of Tobacco Products to Persons Under 21 Years Old Penalty to impose new fines and criteria for license suspension. Ordinance number 2026-135, an ordinance adopting new codified ordinance Chapter 761.99 entitled Sale of Tobacco Products to Persons Under 21 Years Old Penalty.
Do we need to add the date for that 142 of when it would need to be enacted?
Okay.
I was just going to throw out November 1st.
Okay, Mr. Guerrero moves, I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So we will add November, Ms. Milberg, will you add November 1st to that reading? Okay.
Mr. President,
Yeah.
who sends those letters out? Is it PCD?
I don't think a decision was ever made on who will send them out, but we'll figure it out.
Well, I'm over there a lot, and so when I get complaints, like I said, I'll be riding my bike in the alleyway, and I'm just counting houses because there are no numbers. So this will be great for different issues and problems or whatever. This has been needed for a long time, but when there's rentals, I didn't know if, and there's a lot of out-of-town, owners too. So will the tenants get them and the owners? Just so that.
So in other words, the person worked at the county, maybe was unemployed or left the county a month before taking a job here, but then that service was not recognized because of that break-in service, which, if that's the language, I'll look at changing that language in the non-union benefit.
If she had a break in service, it was a week.
That's what I thought.
It was minimal. So, I mean, she was still getting paychecks from the county when we hired her. So if that was the reason she wasn't given it, then this ordinance is essential. She deserves it.
I know you have this new vehicle that's on the list for almost $30,000. So if you recall, earlier this year, we were able to find some used police vehicles from Geauga. So we're not buying new police vehicles. There's also a couple pieces of equipment we are not going to buy in Public Works. That's how we are affording the vehicle.
Any citizen who would like to address council may do so at this time. Please state your name and some kind of address, and if you would limit your comments to 5 minutes.
Hi, my name's Aaron Burnett. I live in 4904 Dunsmore.
Jane Scruggs, or you can call me G. First of all, I thank the citizen that was concerned about me not being here for a month, and they did call to find out if I was okay. I'm back. Believe me, nobody's going to run me from the council meeting. That's what I vote for. That's my privilege. But we as citizens, we talk to various people we feel that would bring the issues back to the floor. And the issues will not be addressed unless they're actually brought to the floor. We can say we live in a perfect world outside of these four walls, but that's not true, you guys. We as citizens, we do have complaints. And we want to listen to the people, address it with the people that would listen to us. And I thank the mayor for telling us how he spends the money. I don't go up there and sit behind him and check out everything he's supposed to do. But the fact that he's telling us, you brought it up because the citizens are concerned with where the money's going. That's what a council meeting is for, you guys. Get the citizen complaint, get it on the floor, and get some answers so everybody understands how our city is being ran and how our money is being spent. This is a very personal thing with me. Please give me the time, I don't want to be called. I've been coming to this meeting for probably 6 months since I retired. And one of the things I'm seeing as councilmen and women, the disrespect. Yes, the disrespect of each other. Go home, perhaps tonight, and go back 2 or 3 of your, go back on YouTube or whatever, and look at the meetings, how when certain people talk, people are rolling their eyes, people are sitting back with their hands like this. We gotta respect each other, y'all. We have a right to have our opinion. You don't have to agree with me, but I have a right to my opinion. So let's kind of respect it. If you don't like what I'm saying, just sit there and look straight ahead. Don't roll your eyes. Don't sit back.
My name is Michael Wagner. I have a question in regards to the roads. Are they going to be doing anything with Spencer Avenue? It's totally.
I don't
Are they on the list, anything?
I don't believe it was on the list for this year, but I believe the councilperson brought up Spencer when we were going over roads. I'd have to look and see.
Also, in regards to the recycling, are they going to force people to use the both cans, or are you still able to use your own garbage can?
Mr. President, sir, when we roll out the program, you will have to use the cans that we provide.
You can't use your own then?
That's correct. So there was one thing that came up when we rolled out the cans was what do we do with the current cans that we have? And I think we did take, I'll have to double check with the foreman at sanitation, but I believe we did take some back. That is one thing that we should consider, what if people just want to get rid of them, how we get rid of those cans.
Ordinance number 2026-136, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into a community reinvestment area tax incentive agreement with River and Rail Development LLC for tax abatement at 100% for 7 years for new residential dwellings located at 725 East 15th Street, Ashtabula, Ohio 44004.
We don't want to approve a tax abatement because it's a rental property, but if somebody came into Ashtabula and wanted to build an apartment building, would we waive the taxes on that or not? On Chestnut, was that Chestnut Apartments, were those tax abated? Okay, so if you build a whole bunch of apartments, we'll abate your taxes, but if you build one, we're not going to abate your taxes. It seems to be what we're saying here.
And he did note, and I think especially in this time where prices are up to build, gas, utilities, groceries, he stated it's a good driver for growth, economic growth, and for the need that we have for rentals, and saying with all these, we have all these homes that we need to fix up, to see these new builds when the cost of everything is going up. There's a need there,
and we will point out this week the interest rates on homes went up to almost 7%. And I remember Saturday morning on Station Avenue when they were telling us about the new houses being built, the banker from Cleveland pretty much said the tax abatement makes them affordable for people. Otherwise, it makes them like they're paying rent as opposed to buying a house. That item 26-136 has passed by a 4-2 vote. Thank you. All right. Is there a motion to handle 137 through 140 in consent agenda format?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Holman moves and Mrs. DiGiacomo seconds. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We will handle these items by a 6-0 vote in consent agenda. Is there a motion to waive the reading on these items of legislation?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Holman moves and Mrs. DiGiacomo seconds. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We will waive the reading of the legislation by a 6-0 vote. We will waive 2 readings by a 6-0 vote. And now we will vote on the adoption of the legislation. Would you please call the roll again?
Mr. Guerrero?
Yes.
Mr. Simeone? Yes. Mr. Roskovich?
Yes.
Ms. Holman?
Yes.
Mrs. Mills?
yes.
Mrs. DiGiacomo?
Yes.
We will wait. Those items have passed by a 6-0 vote. Thank you.
Ordinance number 2026-141, an ordinance repealing existing codified ordinance section 1329.03 for the purpose of adopting a new section 1329.03. Ordinance number 2026-142, an ordinance enacting replacement codified ordinance section 1329.03, placement of numbers on buildings. Ordinance number 2026-134, an ordinance repealing in its entirety existing codified ordinance chapter 761.99 entitled Sale of Tobacco Products to Persons Under 21 Years Old, penalty to impose new fines and criteria for license suspension. Ordinance number 2026-135, an ordinance adopting new codified ordinance chapter 761.99 entitled Sale of Tobacco Products to Persons Under 21 Years Old Penalty.
Those two items of legislation have passed by a 6-0 vote. Thank you.
Our daughter, Amanda Mills, has a ribbon cutting for her new business, and it's called MCC Therapies. Her ribbon cutting is next Tuesday, August 11th at noon. Her office space, I'm excited. It's in my Ward 4, 4510 Collins Boulevard, Suite 5. So she has numerous degrees and certifications, specializes in pediatric occupational therapy, tailored to those who are neurodivergent or otherwise developmentally disabled. Zach will be reading the story, and I looked up a little history on them, and I think they're from Shelby, Ohio. And Zach also, he's on the spectrum, so he learns telling stories. And when he's on his way to therapy, he's always telling stories about dinosaurs. So I think the book is Clipper the Dinosaur. So I think like he kind of helped Mom, write it, his story. Anyways, he's going to read it. If you have a need in between, it's not a problem. And they have days where mixed meats come in, or they have steak and beef and chicken and all that. So I think last month they had over 400 people. So you can see that there's a need there. So 11 to 2, they don't turn anybody away, and they just keep stocking up. So that's kind of new. So I wanted to spread that word. If anybody's out there has a food need, please share. Thank you.
That's our look at the council's night. From road paving and sanitation changes to housing tax abatements, property enforcement, and new rules on tobacco and house numbers. The next few meetings should bring more on data centers, insurance, and those trash and recycling carts. So keep checking back for future highlight reels to stay in the loop.